Many of you have come here today believing that the end of your struggle is simply the recovery of what was lost, a return to the quiet days you once knew, a restoration of the familiar comfort that slipped through your grasp. But that, my friend, is perhaps the most dangerous mistake you can make, a profound error that misjudges the very nature of divine intervention. It is a misunderstanding of the very character of the Almighty God. You see, the restoration promised by our Dios is not a simple repair of a broken vessel, not a mere mending of what was shattered. It is a resurrection. It is not about painstakingly patching up the old familiar life you had before the storm hit, attempting to rewind time and erase the painful chapters. No, my beloved, it is about being reborn, transformed into someone new, someone you could never have become without enduring the refining fire. He does not simply patch the old worn cloth of your former existence. He weaves a glorious new garment, strong and radiant beyond anything you have ever known. He does not merely give you back the years the locusts have eaten, painstakingly counting each lost moment. He orchestrates a harvest in your remaining years so abundant, so overflowing with blessing, that the very memory of the loss, the sting of what was stolen, is utterly swallowed up by the glory of the gain. The struggle you are in right now, the agonizing path you walk, is not a temporary pit stop on the way back to your old life. No, my friend, understand this profound truth. It is the very birthplace of your new one, the sacred ground from which a stronger, more purposeful you will emerge. My dear brothers and sisters, my friends scattered across this vast and troubled world, I ask you to quiet your heart for a moment. Still the anxious voices that whisper doubts and fears, silence the clamor of your worries, and hear this truth with the ears of your spirit, a truth that has echoed from the throne room of heaven since the dawn of time, a timeless promise breathed into the very fabric of creation. Your present suffering, this season of intense difficulty, is not, I repeat, not the final word written over your life's unfolding narrative. The hardship that has become your constant unwelcome companion, the sorrow that has etched itself deeply upon your weary soul, leaving its indelible mark, is unequivocally not your eternal destiny. Hear this with certainty. Dios has not forgotten you in your deep valley of weeping, even when tears blind your vision. He has not turned his loving face from you in your dire hour of need, when all earthly help seems distant. The door of his infinite mercy has not, and can never be, barred against your desperate cries. This challenging chapter of your life, this long, wearying, and often bewildering season of trial, is profoundly, powerfully, irrevocably temporary. And I declare this not with the uncertainty of a frail man, not with the fleeting hope of human optimism, but with the undeniable authority of his living, breathing word. Dios is about to turn the page. The glorious end of this chapter, this period of tribulation, has already been meticulously written in the eternal ink of his perfect sovereignty. I know there are precious souls listening right now who are weeping in the desolate midnight hour when the world around them is deeply asleep, oblivious to their pain and the crushing weight of existence. The sheer burden of continuing feels unbearable. I know some of you feel as though you are crawling, inch by painful inch, through days that stretch into an eternity of unrelenting pain, your heart so utterly crushed, so wounded, that the words of a simple prayer cannot even form on your lips. The very air feels heavy with your unspoken anguish. But I am here by divine appointment to tell you, with the conviction of heaven, that this desolate place, this moment of profound despair, is not and can never be where your magnificent story concludes. The author of your life, the one who knew you intimately before you were even formed in your mother's womb, the divine composer of your destiny, does not write tragedies without ultimately providing a final glorious act of redemption. In his perfect omniscient wisdom, the wisdom that holds galaxies in place and directs the stars, Dios has already appointed the exact time, the precise hour, the very moment when this storm, no matter how fierce, will suddenly break, and the blinding, comforting light of His glorious presence will flood your path once more. So let the winds of adversity howl with all their might. Let the thunders of doubt roll menacingly across the sky of your mind. Let the night seem endlessly long and devoid of stars. You are commanded to stand firm, to anchor your soul in His truth, for the master storyteller is still diligently at work in your life, and He will not end His epic tales in pain, but in triumphant eternal purpose. He sees you, my friend. Oh, how profoundly He sees you. He sees the raw agony you have hidden so carefully behind a weary, forced smile, a mask worn to face the world. He sees the monumental, almost superhuman strength it takes for you just to rise from your bed each morning, to put one foot in front of the other and face another relentless day. He sees how you valiantly extend kindness, compassion, and unwavering generosity to others, even while your own precious spirit is breaking into 1,000 silent pieces within you. You are not invisible to Him. And from the heavens, from the very throne of grace, Dios speaks a powerful, comforting word directly to your struggling heart, a whispered promise of divine intervention. I have seen your tears, every single one. I have collected them in my bottle. They are precious to me. I have heard the groaning, the inarticulate cries of your spirit that words could not form. Be at peace, my child, for I am coming now, actively moving, to decisively close this long, painful chapter of hardship in your life. You must understand this foundational truth. You were not created from the dust of the earth, fashioned with such divine care, to live in a perpetual state of crushing despair, weighed down by endless burdens. You were not fashioned in the glorious image of Dios to spend your precious days crushed under the oppressive heel of suffering, to be eternally defined by your pain. Yes, my friend, in His sovereign wisdom He allowed the trial. Yes, in His perfect plan He permitted the fire to rage around you. But hear this with unwavering certainty. He did not bring you this far through so much, only to abandon you in the desolate ashes of your former life. Never. He is the omnipotent Dios, who with a single word lifted Joseph from the forgotten pit of betrayal, who elevated David from the dark, hiding cave of fear and despair, and who miraculously delivered Daniel from the ravenous lion's den. And if you, my beloved, find yourself in a pit right now, a place of isolation and anguish, then prepare your heart, brace your spirit, and lift your gaze, for Dios is not merely watching. He is actively, powerfully preparing your ascent. There are certain profound and often perplexing chapters in this life that Dios allows us to walk through, not with the intention to break us into irreversible fragments, but with the divine purpose to powerfully make us, to forge us into something stronger, more beautiful, and more resilient. It is a divine paradox, a sacred mystery, that the very pressure we so desperately despise, the crushing weight that seems unbearable, is in fact the precise instrument of our glorious transformation. You may not, in your human understanding, grasp the immense, unrelenting pressure you are currently under, but I declare to you with the authority of His Word that it is producing within you a holy perseverance, a tenacious endurance that could never ever be forged in the fleeting superficial times of ease and comfort. You may not comprehend the agonizing sting of rejection, the deep wound it leaves, but it is supernaturally building a rock-solid resilience in your soul, an inner fortitude that will make you unshakable, immovable against any future storm. You may not grasp the profound reason for His deafening silence, the terrifying quiet in response to your fervent prayers. But know this, it is actively strengthening the very muscles of your faith, stretching them beyond what you thought possible, teaching you, training you to trust His heart implicitly, even when you cannot see his guiding hand in your circumstances. Make no mistake, Dios is not ignoring your desperate pleas. He is far too loving, far too attentive for that. Instead, he is meticulously, lovingly developing the very character of Christ within you, molding you into his image. And when the work is done, when the sanctifying, shaping process is triumphantly complete, the page will definitively turn, the dust of your struggle will finally settle, and what once seemed like meaningless, agonizing suffering will be gloriously revealed as the masterful, intricate sculpting of a loving, attentive, and wise Father. You did not choose this chapter of profound hardship. It descended upon you like an uninvited, unwelcome fog, thick and suffocating. Yet in his infinite wisdom and perfect foresight, Dios allowed it to unfold for a reason far greater, far more encompassing than your finite mind can currently perceive or understand. That deep, piercing pain was never ever sent as a punishment to destroy your spirit, to break you beyond repair. No, my friend, it was permitted, orchestrated even, to powerfully reveal a monumental strength within you that you never knew you possessed, a resilient core that lay dormant, waiting to be awakened. It was allowed to uncover a depth of unwavering faith that could never be discovered, never be tested in the shallow waters of comfort and convenience. Think about it. Some of the most profound spiritual awakenings, the most impactful encounters with the divine in history, have not occurred in grand ornate cathedrals or serene idyllic gardens, but rather in the desolate wilderness, in the crucible of isolation and challenge. Some of the deepest, most resilient roots of faith are born not in the easy light of day, when everything is clear, but in the dark, confusing night of the soul, where trust is all you have. Some of the strongest, most unyielding men and women I have ever known, those who have left an indelible mark on their generation, were not shaped in tranquility, in peaceful calm, but were powerfully forged in the very heart of the fiercest, most turbulent storm. So hear this truth, and let it anchor your spirit. You are not being punished, my beloved friend. You are not suffering for some hidden transgression. No, with absolute certainty, you are being profoundly prepared, meticulously fashioned for a greater purpose, a higher calling, a destiny woven by the hand of God Himself. When the sovereign Dios of the universe, the King of all creation, decides to unequivocally close a chapter in your life, when He declares it finished, there is no demon in hell, no enemy on earth, no power or principality that possesses the authority or capability to force it to remain open. No cunning scheme of man, no malicious counsel of the wicked, no human machination can ever reverse His divine, unalterable will. When Dios from His majestic, eternal throne declares with thunderous authority, "It is finished," then every single weapon that was forged against you in the very fires of hell, designed to destroy you, instantly and irrevocably loses its power. Every oppressive chain of addiction, every suffocating bond of fear, every paralyzing grip of depression that has tried to hold you captive, to keep you bound and broken, shatters into dust, rendered utterly powerless. Every lying voice, every insidious whisper from the enemy that has tried to silence your testimony, to make you doubt your worth, is itself silenced by the majestic thunder of His supreme authority. He does not need to ask for permission from your challenging circumstances. He is not bound by them. He does not need to offer an explanation to your doubters, to those who question His plan. When He decrees, when He speaks the word that the trial is over, it is unequivocally, irreversibly over. Hold on to that glorious promise, my friend. Cling to it with every fiber of your being, with every ounce of hope you can muster. If all you can do in your exhaustion is whisper from a weary heart, a faint but faithful cry, "Dios, I trust you, I tell you," with the certainty of His word that is more than enough to activate His divine intervention. Even now, as I speak these words of truth and encouragement to you, Dios is actively, powerfully moving behind the intricate scenes of your life, orchestrating events and aligning circumstances you cannot yet perceive. While you, in your limited human vision, see only the formidable closed door standing directly in front of you, blocking your path and causing despair, He, in His omniscient wisdom, is strategically arranging divine appointments and opening entirely new doors of opportunity on the other side, doors that you cannot yet see. He is meticulously aligning the right people to providentially come into your life, individuals who will be instruments of His blessing and purpose, and simultaneously dismantling unseen obstacles you were not even aware were blocking your destined path. I remember vividly the story of a man, a once successful businessman who had lost absolutely everything: his thriving company, his beautiful home, his cherished reputation, all gone in the blink of an eye. He saw only ruins, only devastation, a life in shambles. But Dios was working powerfully in the unseen realm, weaving a miraculous tapestry. A former competitor, a man he had always considered an adversary, even an enemy, was suddenly moved by Dios, by an inexplicable divine prompting, to offer him a partnership. It was not born out of pity, but out of a sudden, profound, and undeniable respect for the man's character forged in the fire. What you cannot see with your physical eyes, the limitations of your temporal sight, you must believe with the unshakable conviction of your spirit. Declare it. Dios is working. Your story, my beloved, is far from over. The most powerful, redemptive, and glorious chapters are yet to be written by His mighty hand. You may feel right now as though everything in your meticulously constructed world is falling apart, crumbling into chaos, that the very foundations of your life, once so solid, are disintegrating beneath your feet, leaving you without solid ground. But what if, for a moment, I invited you to consider a different perspective, a divine viewpoint? What if I told you that from heaven's omniscient perspective, from the vantage point of the Almighty, everything is actually falling into place, perfectly aligning with His eternal purpose? What if this very hardship, this bewildering season of profound loss and pervasive confusion, was the precise, divinely crafted tool Dios needed to use to skillfully guide you away from a hidden, unseen danger that threatened your very existence? What if it was designed to humble you, to break down pride, so that you could receive a far greater, more profound grace, a grace necessary for your next level? What if it was enacted to protect you, shielding you from a path that, though seemingly promising, would have ultimately led to your ultimate destruction, to a deeper sorrow? I have learned in my many long years of walking with the Lord that sometimes, often even, the greatest, most precious blessings Dios bestows upon us are masterfully disguised as unbearable burdens, as trials that seem impossible to bear. The closed door that shattered your heart, that caused you such anguish, was actually, in divine reality, saving you from entering a house of even deeper sorrow, from a situation far more destructive. The agonizing loss of that job, which left you feeling helpless, was in fact protecting you from a corrupting influence, a pathway that would have compromised your integrity. When the curtain is finally pulled back in eternity, when all things are made clear, you will see with astonishing, tear-filled clarity that the loving, protective, and omniscient hand of Dios was actively on your life in every single moment, guiding and guarding you through it all. The tears you have cried in the lonely quiet of your room, those silent expressions of your deepest pain, will not go unanswered. They will be met with public vindication and overwhelming joy that overflows your soul. The terrifying valley of the shadow of death that you have been forced to walk through, that dark and desolate journey, will miraculously become the very platform from which Dios elevates you for all to see, a testament to His power. Our Dios, the God we serve, never wastes a single drop of our pain, not a tear, not a sigh, not a moment of anguish. He is too purposeful, too loving for that. He never ever abandons his faithful children in the midst of the flood when the waters rise and threaten to overwhelm. And if you have been holding on, my precious friend, if you have kept your unwavering faith, even when the dark waters rose to your very neck, threatening to drown you, then prepare yourself, for your divine reward is drawing incredibly near. Dios will not, he cannot, allow your suffering to be a permanent state, a perpetual condition of your being. He is too kind, too merciful, too compassionate to let your sorrow be the final chapter, the concluding word of your story. He is too faithful to his sacred promises to let hardship, no matter how severe, write your entire magnificent story. He is too powerful, too omnipotent to be defeated, to be overcome by the circumstances that have desperately tried to defeat you. The chapter of hardship is unequivocally closing. The refining fire, having served its purpose, is fading. The relentless storm is passing over, giving way to a new dawn. Do not ever for a single moment confuse the silence of Dios for his absence, for his neglect, or for his indifference to your plight. Do not mistake his divine patience, his perfect timing, for a lack of care or attention. I recall vividly the poignant story of Lazarus, a man Jesus loved deeply. Mary and Martha, Lazarus' sisters, sent an urgent word to Jesus, filled with desperation. "Lord, the one you love is sick." They expected him to come at once, to immediately intervene and heal their brother, but he waited. In their grieving eyes, in their anguished hearts, it was a devastating delay, a cruel postponement. In their profound grief and confusion, it felt like abandonment, like their beloved master had forsaken them. But Jesus was not neglecting them. He was not indifferent to their pain. No, he was waiting for the perfect moment, the divine appointment, orchestrated by the Father, not just for a simple healing, but for a spectacular resurrection that would bring far greater glory to Dios, revealing his power in an undeniable way. And know this, my friend, with absolute certainty, he is waiting for that perfect divine moment in your life as well, that precise instant when his intervention will maximize his glory and your ultimate blessing. And when he finally moves, when that appointed moment arrives, everything will change in an instant, so dramatically, so powerfully, that it will truly take your breath away. This is the profound way of our Dios. He often works quietly, diligently in the silence, hidden behind the veil of your circumstances, and then in an instant, he reveals his power in a sudden, overwhelming, and undeniable shift. If you feel this word, this message is profoundly for you, seal it in your spirit by declaring, "I receive it," in the comments below, making a declaration of faith that you are ready, fully prepared for his imminent, miraculous move in your life. You may feel right now that you are at the absolute end of your rope, that your strength is completely depleted, that you cannot take another step forward. But hear this profound truth. Dios sees this very moment, this point of your deepest exhaustion, not as your end, but as the powerful turning point of your destiny. You may be crying out in anguish, "Dios, I cannot take this anymore. I have nothing left to give." And in response, from the depths of his love, he is whispering back directly to your spirit, "My child, my beloved, you are almost there. Do not give up now. Do not relinquish your hold just yet." Do you know why the pressure often feels heaviest, most suffocating, just before the miraculous breakthrough? It is precisely because you are closer, far closer than you have ever been to your moment of divine release. The enemy of your soul, the adversary, he knows that his time to afflict you, to torment you, is short, rapidly dwindling. He can sense, he can feel the imminent release of Dios's overwhelming favor and blessing into your life, the breaking of the dawn. And so in a final, desperate, futile assault, he is throwing everything he has at you, hoping to make you quit one single step before the glorious finish line. Therefore, my friend, you must stand. Even if your knees are shaking uncontrollably with fear, and overwhelming exhaustion, even if every fiber of your being screams to lie down, stand. Even if your heart is tired and deeply broken, shattered by disappointment, stand. Even if your faith feels as small and insignificant as a mustard seed, barely perceptible, stand firm in His promises. Because when Dios closes this painful chapter of hardship, when He declares it finished, He immediately, without delay, opens a new glorious chapter of unimaginable, overflowing restoration. His restoration, my friend, is not a partial, limited thing. It is complete, holistic, and overwhelmingly abundant. He repays what the enemy has relentlessly stolen from you, not just in equal measure, tit for tat, but pressed down, shaken together, and running over an overflowing measure of His goodness. He meticulously restores what was broken, fractured, or damaged in your life. Your precious relationships, your physical health, your financial stability, making them stronger, more resilient, and more beautiful at the broken places, places where His grace has been powerfully revealed. He renews what was dying, withering in your spirit, your hope, your joy, your sense of divine purpose, breathing new, vibrant life into the barren, desolate parts of your soul that felt lifeless. He brings forth refreshing streams in the barren desert where none existed, and life from the dust, demonstrating His creative power. He heals wounds so deep, so profound, that no human physician, no earthly remedy could ever touch them or mend them. The very thing that tried desperately to break you, that relentless trial you thought would be your absolute end, will miraculously become the irrefutable, undeniable proof that Dios has powerfully rebuilt you from the inside out, establishing you anew. Your greatest test, the very crucible of your suffering, will be transformed into your most powerful testimony. A compelling story that will profoundly inspire and uplift countless others who are walking through the same refining fire you have so faithfully endured. Dios is not just closing this painful chapter in your life to bring you personal peace and relief, to merely alleviate your suffering. While those blessings are certainly part of His plan, His purpose extends far beyond your individual comfort. He is closing it so that you can become a shining beacon of hope, a credible living witness to others who are lost, disoriented, and struggling in the same deep darkness you have so faithfully navigated. Your survival, your endurance, your ultimate triumph over adversity has a profound eternal purpose attached to it, a divine mandate. You are not forgotten by Heaven's King. You are not abandoned in your hour of need. You are not being punished for some unknown transgression. No, my friend, hear this liberating truth. You are being strategically positioned for His glory and for the good of others. There is a vast, eternally significant difference between being buried and being planted. And right now, some of you feel utterly buried by the heavy soil of your circumstances, weighed down by the earth. You feel the suffocating darkness, the relentless pressure, the isolating solitude. But Dios speaks a powerful, life-giving word over your situation. No, my beloved child, I have not buried you with the intention for you to die, to wither away and perish. I have carefully, purposefully planted you to grow, to flourish, to bring forth much fruit. You are not dying in this seemingly silent season. You are about to powerfully rise. You are about to break through the surface of your struggles and see the brilliant light of a brand new day, a day of vindication and triumph. You are about to blossom, to flourish in ways you never thought humanly possible, revealing a beauty only God can cultivate. Never, ever underestimate what our mighty Dios can accomplish in a single sovereign moment of time. Years of struggle, of barrenness, of striving, of relentless effort that yielded no fruit can be completely overturned, reversed, and transformed by a single powerful act of His sovereign will. What you thought was irrevocably lost forever, that cherished opportunity, that broken relationship, that long-held dream can be miraculously returned, gloriously restored, and infinitely multiplied in an instant by the breath of His command. That, my friend, is the awesome, limitless power of the Dios we serve. That is His signature move, His divine pattern. He often waits until all human hope has completely vanished, until everyone around you has declared it impossible, until the situation looks utterly dead, beyond any natural resurrection. It was when the stone was rolled over Lazarus' tomb, and he had been dead for 4 agonizing days, that Jesus purposefully showed up to reveal a glory, to perform a miracle beyond their wildest imagination. So lift your head, my friend, from the sorrow that weighs you down. Breathe again the breath of life, the breath of His Spirit into your weary lungs. Speak life, speak faith, speak hope over your own precious soul, for your words carry creative power. Remind yourself, with unwavering conviction, that Dios is still immovably on the throne, His reign absolute. He is still in perfect control of every single detail of your life, even the ones that feel chaotic. And this challenging chapter of your life, this season of testing, is almost triumphantly over. This pain you feel, this deep ache that seems to consume you, is not a permanent resident, fixed and unmoving within your soul. It is a temporary visitor with a predetermined departure date. You will not weep forever. You will not struggle endlessly without relief. As surely as the glorious sun vanquishes the darkest night, dispelling all shadows with its light, the morning of your joy, a morning filled with His presence and peace, will undeniably come. You must understand, with every fiber of your being, that every delay you have experienced, every moment of waiting, every season of apparent stagnation has served a profound, strategic, and often hidden divine purpose in the grand tapestry of your life. Every no you received from heaven, every door that seemed to close in your face, was not a rejection of your worth or your prayers, but a powerful form of divine protection, a loving redirection from a path not meant for you. Every closed door was not a punishment, not an act of divine displeasure, but a holy redirection, steering you towards a greater, more glorious destiny. You may have thought, in your limited perspective, that you were being held back, deliberately hindered from reaching your desired destiny. But in divine reality, my friend, you were being held together, being preserved, being fortified by His boundless grace. You thought His silence meant abandonment, that He had forgotten you in your struggle, but it was in truth a time of sacred preparation, a hidden season where He was fortifying you, strengthening your inner being for the immense weight of the blessing that is to come. Rest assured, Dios has not for a single moment changed His magnificent mind about the glorious future He has meticulously planned for you. What He has promised you in His infallible word is still on its way, swiftly approaching, and no amount of hardship, no force of darkness can ever cancel what Dios has powerfully spoken over your life. He is the Dios who, as the ancient prophet Isaiah tells us in his magnificent scroll, opens mighty rivers in the barren, desolate desert, transforming wasteland into a flowing oasis. He is the Dios who miraculously brought forth life-giving water from a solid, unyielding rock for a thirsty people, parched and desperate in the wilderness. He is the Dios who provided manna, divine bread from the very sky when there was no earthly provision to be found, sustaining His people against all odds. And that same omnipotent Dios of miracles, of impossible provision, of boundless creativity, is the very same Dios who is with you in this room, in your home, in your car, wherever you are listening right now, in this very moment. If He did it for them, for His people in ancient times with His unwavering faithfulness, He will unequivocally do it for you. If He made a way for them where there was seemingly no way, forging a path through the impossible. He will make a way for you now through your current wilderness. The suffering you have endured, every single tear, every hidden ache, has not gone unnoticed by the loving, attentive Father. Every single moment you chose to trust Him instead of giving in to doubt. Every single time you lifted a song of praise when your heart was breaking. Every single instance you chose to forgive when it felt impossibly unfair and unjust. Dios saw it all. He recorded every act of faith, every moment of endurance in His divine book of remembrance. And He will reward it openly, publicly, for all to see. He will honor your faithfulness, your perseverance, your unwavering trust in Him in ways that transcend human comprehension. He will bless you in ways that, as the Apostle Paul so eloquently wrote, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and have not even entered into the deepest heart of man. For He is not just closing the chapter of hardship, merely shutting the door on your pain. He is simultaneously, actively, powerfully writing a glorious new one for you, a chapter filled to overflowing with hope, with profound joy, with unshakable peace, and with supernatural provision that defies logic. But I must give you this solemn counsel, my beloved. Do not rush the process. Do not try to run ahead of Him in your anxiety, driven by your fear of the future. Trust His perfect timing, His divine choreography. The same Dios who in His infinite wisdom allowed the pain to begin, to enter your life for a higher purpose, is the very same Dios who in His perfect wisdom will decide precisely when it must irrevocably end. And when it does end, when that divine moment arrives, it will be so clear, so undeniable, so miraculously evident that no one, not even your greatest skeptic, not even the most cynical observer, will be able to deny that it was the mighty loving hand of Dios Himself that brought you through. So let your faith arise from the ashes of your disappointment. Let your spirit lift its gaze, not to the problem, but to Him. Let your heart dare to hope again, to dream once more. This, my friend, is not how your story ends. This difficult season is just a chapter in your grand narrative, and Dios has already meticulously prepared the next one for you, a chapter of triumph and glory. You may feel right now that your personal strength is completely gone, that you have nothing, absolutely nothing left to give to this fight. But remember this profound truth: the strength of Dios is limitless, inexhaustible, and always available to you. You may feel like your inner light, your hope, is just a flickering flame, barely alive, about to be extinguished by the relentless winds of despair and discouragement. But He is the very source of all light, the uncreated light Himself, and He never ever runs out of power or illumination. So I urge you with all my heart, rest deeply in Him. Lean your full weary weight upon His everlasting arms, for they are strong enough to carry your heaviest burdens. Let go of the consuming, paralyzing fear of the future, the anxiety of the unknown, and hold tightly, tenaciously, to the unshakable truth that Dios is, and always will be, faithful to His promises. The very fact that you are still here, that you are still breathing, still persevering after all you have been through, after every trial and tribulation, is not merely survival. It is a powerful testimony in itself to His preserving grace. It means with absolute certainty that He is not finished with you yet, that His divine work in you is ongoing. It means there is still a powerful divine purpose living and stirring in your very bones, waiting to be fully unleashed. It means that the best days of your life are not behind you in the past, forever lost. They are gloriously ahead of you, waiting in the future He has ordained specifically for you. The enemy of your soul, the adversary, would not be attacking you with such relentless ferocity, with such desperate intensity, if there were not something incredibly powerful, precious, and eternally significant on your horizon, something he desperately wants to prevent. You are not under attack. because you are weak. On the contrary, you are under attack because you are strong in the Lord, and you are chosen by Dulles for a significant kingdom-altering purpose. When Dulles decides, in his perfect timing and sovereign will, to definitively close this chapter of hardship, the shift will be sudden, dramatic, and undeniable. It will be like the powerful breaking of a dam, unleashing a flood of his goodness. One day you will go to sleep with a heavy burden still pressing down on your shoulders, the weight of your struggles undeniable, and the very next morning you will wake up with a profound peace that surpasses all human understanding, a peace that guards your heart and mind. You will look back at that specific day, that pivotal moment, and say with awe and gratitude, that was the day, that was the moment everything truly changed, the turning point of my destiny. He is not asking you to figure it all out, to unravel the complexities of your life with your own limited human wisdom. He is simply lovingly asking you to trust him implicitly, to lean into his perfect plan while he works it all out according to his infinite flawless wisdom, and he will. Oh my friend, with absolute certainty, he surely will. It will not happen on your timeline, my friend. Not when you think it should happen based on your own desperate calendar of pain and expectation. It will happen in his perfect divine timing, in the fullness of his season. And when that sacred divine moment gloriously arrives, your bitter weeping will be miraculously turned into exuberant, overflowing laughter, a sound of pure joy. Your agonizing season of mourning will be transformed into a triumphant dance of celebration, a joyous expression of his deliverance. Your anxious, consuming worrying will be replaced by heartfelt, uninhibited worship, an outpouring of gratitude for his faithfulness. My beloved, I want you to listen to me with the ears of your spirit, for I am not just speaking to your mind, appealing to your intellect. I am speaking a living, life-giving word directly into the deepest core of your soul. You have walked through a season of profound, often suffocating darkness. You have endured hardships, trials, and tribulations that human words cannot fully express or adequately contain, burdens too heavy for language. You have been tested and tried, purified and refined in the very furnace of affliction, a crucible of fire. And though others around you in their limited perception cannot see the invisible scars etched upon your resilient soul, Dios has meticulously counted every silent cry, every unspoken prayer, every sleepless night spent in anguish, every hidden ache in the deepest depths of your heart. He knows it all. He knows. That in itself is a profound comfort, a source of peace in the storm. But it goes beyond mere knowledge. Not only does he know your every pain and struggle, but he is actively, powerfully moving on your behalf, orchestrating deliverance. Even as you listen to this very message, he is divinely turning the pages of your life's magnificent story, bringing this long and often painful chapter of sorrow to its appointed glorious end. Dios is not a distant, dispassionate observer, aloof and unconcerned with your suffering. He is not idle, sitting back and doing nothing. He is not unmoved by your suffering, by the tears you shed. While you have been struggling desperately to understand the why behind your pain, searching for answers in the darkness, he has been meticulously, divinely preparing the how of your miraculous deliverance, the precise strategy for your freedom. While you were wondering, with a heavy heart, why the door of opportunity would not open, why your prayers for release seemed unanswered, he was constructing a new door, a gateway so grand, so divinely appointed, that no man, no demon, no adverse circumstance could ever shut it. While you were asking yourself, with profound exhaustion, how much longer you could possibly survive, how much more you could endure, he was preparing a breakthrough so spectacular, so undeniable, it would utterly silence every doubt that has ever tormented your mind. This, my beloved, is not the end of your hope, nor the conclusion of your story. This is the breaking point of what you have known, the very threshold where the old gives way, and the birthing place of what Dios is about to powerfully reveal in your life, a new beginning beyond measure. Some of you have been walking through this prolonged affliction, this season of intense difficulty, not because you have been forgotten by Dios, not because you have been overlooked in the divine plan, but precisely because you have been strategically chosen by Him for a unique purpose. There are certain profound spiritual battles, certain high-level assignments that are given, that are assigned only to those whom Dios has personally equipped, meticulously prepared for deeper, more significant purposes in His kingdom. You have not been in this fire, enduring this intense heat, because of some inherent weakness in your character, some flaw that needed exposure. On the contrary, you have been in it because Dios trusted you with the intensity of the heat, knowing you would endure and be refined, not consumed. You have not been enduring this trial because you are ordinary, common, or unremarkable. You have been enduring because you were called, set apart from before the very foundation of the world to carry something extraordinary, something immensely powerful and eternal for His glorious kingdom. I have seen it time and again in my years of ministry. Dios does not pour heavy, precious anointing oil, His divine power, into fragile, untested vessels. He prepares them in the fire. You are being refined for greatness, my friend, not punished by some random misfortune or cosmic accident. This trial has a divine name and a divine purpose. Let this profound, liberating truth sink deep, deep into the fertile soil of your spirit. Dios never, ever wastes pain. Not a single tear, not one moment of anguish is ever without purpose in His divine economy. What broke your heart, what shattered your hopes in this challenging season will be sovereignly used by Him to powerfully build someone else. Faith, to strengthen another's resolve in the next season. What crushed your spirit, what seemed to utterly destroy you in this relentless trial, will miraculously become the very crown of your testimony in the season to come. A glorious story of His redemption. You are not, I repeat, not going to walk away from this fire, this intense refining process, empty-handed or broken beyond repair. The tears you have faithfully sown in the secret places, in the quiet of your room, will supernaturally return to you as an overflowing harvest of divine strength, of unshakable faith, of supernatural wisdom that transcends human understanding, of indestructible character, and of divine elevation beyond what you could ask or imagine. The very thing the enemy maliciously meant to use to destroy you, to incapacitate you, to erase you, Dios will sovereignly, powerfully turn into the weapon of your rising, the catalyst for your breakthrough. He will take the devil's best punch, his most devastating blow, and use it with divine alchemy to propel you forward with accelerated speed into your destined future. This, my friend, is the divine reversal, the holy alchemy of our Dios, masterfully turning the heavy base lead of our suffering into the pure, radiant gold of His glory. Now, I must tell you something that may shake your current understanding, something that might challenge your preconceived notions. Not every single hardship you face, not every battle you endure is a direct, malicious attack from the enemy, though he certainly has his part. Some battles, surprisingly, are in fact authored, orchestrated by Dios Himself for His specific purposes, not with the intent to destroy you, to break you beyond repair, but with the divine purpose to profoundly develop you, to mold you into the magnificent man or woman He has called you to be, strong and unwavering. He sometimes allows fierce storms to rage in our lives, not to drown us in despair, not to overwhelm us with fear, but to teach us through direct experience how to walk on the troubled waters of life with our eyes fixed unswervingly on Him alone, trusting His power. He allows us to journey through barren, desolate deserts, not to starve our souls or deprive us, but to teach us through undeniable experience that His provision is not limited by our external environment, by what we can see or control. He teaches us that He is our unfailing source in famine, in lack, just as He is in feast, in abundance. And when that difficult yet essential lesson is finally complete, when the sanctifying, shaping work of the trial has done its perfect job in your life, when you have learned what He intended, He steps in, not a moment too soon, and certainly not a second too late, and He authoritatively, decisively closes that chapter. So do not ever mistake a divine delay, a period of waiting, for a divine denial, for a no from heaven. His timing is perfect, His purpose is profound. What appears to you in your human perspective as profound silence from heaven is often in divine reality Deus working diligently, powerfully, behind the veil of your current circumstances, orchestrating miracles you cannot yet fathom. There are intricate things in motion, complex divine strategies unfolding in the spiritual realm that your physical eyes, with their limited sight, cannot yet perceive. Doors are actively being opened in rooms you have not even walked into yet, pathways being cleared for your future. The hearts of influential people are being stirred, being divinely prepared on your behalf, aligning to assist you. Resources are being aligned and meticulously prepared for your glorious future, for your next season. The very moment Deus says now, with His supreme authority, your entire season of struggle, the heavy burden you carry, will suddenly collapse under the overwhelming weight of His favor, of His sudden blessing. It will not be a gradual, slow fading, a gentle easing of the burden. No, my friend, it will be swift, sudden, and absolutely decisive. In the same way that the deep, impenetrable darkness of night must, without any resistance, give way to the brilliant dawning of the new day, your hardship will decisively give way to a divine peace that will guard your heart and mind, a peace that transcends all understanding. Believe this, my beloved, with everything that is within you. Every soul that joins this ministry with a like or a subscription strengthens the wall of faith we are building together, a collective declaration of trust. If this powerful word has found you today, it is not by chance, not a coincidence. Join this congregation, become a part of this community, to continue receiving the nourishing bread of life that Deus has specifically for you. If you have been walking through a season of intense, agonizing rejection, a painful experience where doors closed and people turned away, I want you to grasp and understand this profound spiritual principle. Rejection, while painful, is very often Dion's divine redirection, His loving hand steering you to a better path. Not everything that is taken from you, not every loss you experience, is truly a loss in the divine scheme of things. Some things must, by divine design, fall away from your life, be removed, so that the powerful hand of Dion's can be more clearly seen, His intervention more undeniably evident. I remember a young pastor who was utterly devastated, his spirit crushed, when the church he was passionately leading voted him out, effectively rejecting him. He felt like a complete, miserable failure, his calling questioned. But that painful rejection, that deep wound, forced him into an intense, prolonged season of prayer and deep communion with Dion's, a crucible where Dion's gave him a crystal clear vision for a new kind of ministry, one that has now miraculously touched millions of lives globally, transforming destinies. So understand, some relationships, no matter how cherished, must end. Some opportunities, no matter how promising they appear, must pass you by. Why? Because Dion's is far more interested in your eternal calling, in your ultimate destiny, than he is in your temporary comfort or fleeting happiness. And when the season finally shifts, when clarity dawns, you will look back with perfect, astonishing clarity and understand precisely why he said no. Why he closed those doors to things you once thought were absolutely essential for your happiness and fulfillment. You are not being reduced, my precious friend. You are being magnificently refined. The shaking you have experienced in your life, the tremors that rattled your foundations, has not come with the intention to destroy your foundation, to tear down what you have built. Rather, its divine purpose is to expose and ruthlessly remove anything that was not built on the solid, unshakable rock of DOS eternal truth, anything that was superficial or unstable. He is actively anchoring you more deeply, more securely in Him, making your faith unmovable. He is stripping away the worldly distractions, the superficial desires, the unnecessary clutter that has burdened your heart and divided your allegiance, pulling you away from Him. He is meticulously preparing you for something far greater, far more glorious than you have ever imagined for yourself, a destiny beyond your wildest dreams. But you must understand this foundational principle before DOS promotes a man or a woman, before he elevates them to their next level of influence and purpose. He first prepares them, often rigorously. And quite often that intense, necessary preparation feels exactly like punishment, like a painful trial without end. But oh my friend, when DOS finishes his sanctifying, transformative work, when the final stroke of his masterful hand completes this difficult yet vital chapter, you will not even recognize the person you once were. You will rise from the ashes of your trial, not bitter and resentful, but profoundly blessed, not broken and fragmented, but beautifully built and divinely strengthened, not lost and without direction, but lovingly led by the shepherd of your soul. And the very people who questioned your faith during your trial, who whispered doubts, who watched you struggle from a comfortable distance, who may have even mocked your persistent, unwavering hope in DOS, they will have no choice. They will be compelled to stand back in awe, in stunned silence, and acknowledge that the DOS you faithfully serve was with you all along. His presence undeniable, His power revealed. Now let me speak directly to the one who is tired, utterly exhausted, whose spirit feels heavy with fatigue. The one who is barely holding on by a thread, clinging to the last vestiges of hope. The one who is wondering, in the deepest quiet of their heart, if it is even worth continuing this arduous fight of faith, if the struggle will ever end. Hear me clearly, my beloved. You have come too far, endured too much to give up now. Do not let this present dark valley of difficulty convince you, in its temporary gloom, that there is no magnificent mountain of victory ahead, no triumph waiting. DOS has not brought you all this way, through the scorching wilderness, through the trials and tribulations, just to leave you to perish there, to abandon you at the very edge of your breakthrough. Keep walking. Keep pressing forward, one step at a time, even when it hurts. Every single step you take in faith, however small, however insignificant it may seem to you, is shaking the gates of your next glorious season, releasing divine favor. You are closer than you think, closer than you can possibly imagine. And to the one who is angry with DOS, who feels betrayed by the intensity and the prolonged duration of the pain they have endured, who wrestles with bitter questions, know this: you are not disqualified from His boundless grace, not even in your raw, honest emotions, even in your frustration, even in your profound confusion and spiritual wrestling. He understands the deepest cry of your heart. DOS is not afraid of your raw, unfiltered emotions. He welcomes them. He sees beyond your surface feelings, beyond your anger and doubt, and directly into the glorious destiny He has meticulously planned for you. He knows with perfect understanding that what looks like anger on the surface is often just the heart's profound confusion, struggling to make sense of what it cannot grasp. What sounds like doubt, What seems like a questioning of his goodness is often the desperate cry of a weary soul, a heart longing for answers and relief. He is not offended by your sincere, honest question. He is patient, he is kind, and he is still actively, sovereignly moving on your behalf, working diligently behind the scenes, even when you feel in your pain that he is your adversary, that he is against you. What you have perceived as a cruel delay, Dayus, in his infinite wisdom, sees as divine protection. What you thought was a cruel, crushing rejection, Dayus, in his perfect plan, calls a necessary redirection, a steering away from harm. He has been carefully guarding you from stepping into situations, into relationships, into opportunities that would have drained your spirit, corrupted your soul, and ultimately diverted your divine purpose. He has been holding you back, not because he is against you, not because he wishes you harm, but precisely because he is lovingly saving you for something infinitely greater, something far more glorious than you could have imagined for yourself. The enemy, in his cunning malice, fully intended to utterly break you in this chapter, to shatter your spirit and destroy your faith. But Dios, in his omnipotent power, has preserved you. He has hidden you, shielded you in the shadow of his mighty wings, protecting you from every fiery dart. And when the time is perfectly right, when his divine clock strikes the appointed hour, he will dramatically reveal the glory, the strength, the profound character that he has been forming within you in secret, in the hidden places of your trial. You must also understand that Dio's deliverance, his powerful intervention, is not always loud and dramatic like the magnificent parting of the Red Sea, a grand display for all to witness. Sometimes his deliverance is quiet, subtle, yet profoundly effective. Sometimes it comes through the simple, profound grace to endure just one more day, to take one more step when you feel you cannot. Sometimes it looks like nothing on the outside has changed at all. Outwardly, the circumstances remain the same. But something profound, something deeply transformative on the inside of you has shifted, has been renewed. And that powerful, undeniable inner shift, that spiritual transformation, is the absolute proof, the divine confirmation, that the outer breakthrough, the visible manifestation, is powerfully on its way. Declare it over your life. You are not the same person who entered this storm. You are stronger. You are wiser. You have been beautifully transformed by the refining fire. This is precisely why your hardship, this season of intense testing, is coming to an end. Not merely because Dios, in his compassion, wants to relieve your suffering, to simply take away your pain, but because his profound purpose within it has been triumphantly fulfilled. The pressure you have endured, the crushing weight, has produced in you a holy perseverance, a tenacious endurance that will serve you well. The trial has sharpened your faith, refining it into a keen-edged sword, ready for battle. The crushing, though painful, has released the precious oil of anointing, his divine favor and power upon your life, preparing you for what's next. And now, as surely as the glorious sun rises after the longest and darkest of nights, dispelling every shadow, Dios will bring divine, decisive closure to that which has tormented you, that which has plagued your soul. He will not give you peace in the way the world gives it, a fragile, temporary peace dependent entirely on ever-changing circumstances, easily shattered. No, my friend, he will give you a peace that comes only when the mighty sovereign hand of Dios moves in resurrection power, a peace rooted in his unchanging nature, a peace that cannot be shaken, cannot be stolen by any earthly circumstance or demonic strategy. So brace yourself, my beloved. Prepare your heart. The profound shift you have been praying for, longing for, is nearer than you think, closer than you can imagine. Your prayers, my friend, have not been ignored, nor have they been forgotten by the King of Kings. They have been meticulously stored as precious incense in golden bowls in the very hands of the one who answers in perfect strategic timing in the fullness of his wisdom. Your heartfelt cries, your deepest groans have not been lost in the ether, vanishing into thin air. No, they have been recorded, every single one, in the throne room of the Almighty Dios, heard by the one who cares. And the season is rapidly approaching, drawing nearer with every passing moment, when every why you have agonizingly asked in your pain, every question that tormented your soul, will be answered with a resounding, undeniable now from heaven, a divine breakthrough. Every wound will be supernaturally healed, every scar transformed into a testimony of His grace. Every spiritual drought, every period of barrenness will be followed by an overwhelming flood of His divine favor, a deluge of blessing. So let your spirit begin to rejoice, not because of what you can see with your natural eyes, not because your circumstances have changed yet, but because of what Dios has unequivocally declared in His eternal, infallible word, which cannot lie. Let your heart sing a new song, a melody of hope, not because your pain is already gone, but because you implicitly trust the one who holds your next glorious chapter securely, completely, in His powerful, loving hands. This is not the time, my friend, to give in to the suffocating spirit of despair, to surrender to the darkness that seeks to overwhelm you. This is the time, precisely now, to anchor your soul, to bind your very being in the unshakable, immutable promise that Dios does not lie. He cannot lie, for it is contrary to His very nature. If He said in His infallible word that the hardship, this season of testing, would end, then it must, without fail, end. If He promised that the night, no matter how long or dark, will surely pass, then it shall without question pass. If He declared that He will restore the years the locusts have eaten, compensating you beyond measure, then you must get ready, prepare your heart and your life for a divine turnaround. Restoration, my beloved, is not just a distant possibility, not merely a hopeful wish. It is a coming glorious reality, an appointed certainty in your future. You do not need all the answers to your agonizing questions right now. You do not need to see the full, intricate picture of His magnificent plan for your life. All you need, my friend, is this one singular foundational truth, burned into the deepest core of your heart, woven into the fabric of your soul. Dios is faithful. He has never failed one of His children, not a single one in all of history. He cannot fail, for it is absolutely contrary to His very divine nature. And hear this with certainty, He will not start failing with you. This chapter of hardship, this season of trial, is not eternal. It has a definite, divinely appointed expiration date, set by the very hand that formed the heavens and the earth, the hand that holds all time. And now let this profound truth resound, let it echo and reverberate in the deepest, most hidden corners of your soul, transforming your perspective. When Dios chooses to supernaturally shift the spiritual atmosphere around your life, when He determines the time for change, no force in heaven, no power on earth, and no principality under the earth can successfully resist His sovereign, unchallengeable will. The immense weight you have been carrying for so long, the crushing burden on your shoulders, is not an eternal burden destined to stay with you forever. The shadow that has loomed ominously over your life, casting its pall over your joy, is not a permanent fixture fixed in place forever. Because when the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, says, "Enough," with His supreme authority, the very winds of adversity must immediately obey. The crushing burden will be supernaturally lifted from your weary shoulders, and the chains of your affliction, the bonds that held you captive, will fall to the ground, powerless, shattered beyond recognition. Dios is not watching you suffer from a detached distance, an uncaring observer. No, my beloved, he is standing at the very threshold of your breakthrough, at the precipice of your deliverance, ready to step in at the appointed time and declare the undeniable end of your affliction. Do not be deceived by the current, outward appearance of your life, by the visible circumstances. Your present circumstances are not, I repeat, not your true identity. His does not define you by what you are going through, by your present pain or struggle. He defines you, he identifies you, by what he has already declared over you irrevocably in his living word. And what he declares, no hardship can cancel, no enemy can veto, and no circumstance, no matter how daunting, can nullify or make void. Yours is not bound by the constraints of time, by the limitations of human reasoning, by what seems logical to man, or by the apparent impossibilities of your current situation. When he speaks a word, creation itself must instantly obey. When he acts, no power, no force can undo his perfect work. Your hardship has lingered, not because Dios is weak or uncaring, not because he lacks the power to intervene, but because he is infinitely wise, perfectly purposeful. He has allowed it to serve a wholly transformative purpose in your life, but that purpose is not forever. Its divine assignment is nearly complete. You may be standing in a place where every door seems locked, every pathway appears blocked, leaving you feeling trapped and hopeless. But let me remind you of a glorious, liberating truth. Our Dios does not need to find an open door. He is the omnipotent one who creates doors where there were only solid, impenetrable walls. He is the waymaker where there is no way. He does not wait for permission from your problems before he moves, before he intervenes. He is not consulting your enemies, asking for their approval before he decides to bless you. He is not asking your pain if it is finished tormenting you, if it has completed its destructive work. No, my friend, when the time is divinely right, when his perfect calendar decrees it, he will speak with his authoritative voice, and your hardship will flee. It will dissipate like a shadow before the majestic rising of the morning sun, banished by his light. What you feared in your darkest moments would be your desolate, painful ending, will miraculously become the glorious platform for a brand new beginning, a powerful new chapter, written by the very hand of Dios himself. Some of you have been walking through a hidden suffering, an internal storm that no one around you, no matter how close, can even begin to understand or perceive. You have put on a brave face in public, displaying strength for the world to see, but have wrestled with unimaginable terror, with profound anguish, in the lonely privacy of your own heart, behind closed doors. You have carried the crushing weight of uncertainty and pain without a single person to lean on, feeling utterly alone in your struggle. But here is what you must understand with absolute, unwavering certainty, a truth that will bring peace to your soul. You have never, not for one single second, been truly alone. Dios has been there with you, intimately present through every silent battle, through every tear you cried that you could not explain to anyone else, every unspoken fear. And he has not just been a passive observer watching from a distance. No, he has been actively, meticulously gathering every moment of your faithful endurance, every act of resilience, every tear, like precious treasures in his heavenly storehouse, each one valuable to him. For every quiet act of faith you have displayed, for every unseen sacrifice you have made, for every long night you chose to believe in his goodness, in his ultimate plan, even when you had no tangible evidence, no visible proof, there is a divine response coming. A supernatural reward is being diligently prepared for you. There are profound moments in this life when the soul is pressed so deeply, so intensely, that you can no longer rely on your own finite strength, your own limited intellect, or your own earthly resources. And it is precisely in those moments when you feel you are at your absolute breaking point, utterly dependent, that Dios reveals himself, demonstrating that He alone is the one who has been holding you up all along, sustaining you by His grace. Not your job, not your reputation, not your human relationships, but Dieu's alone, His unwavering presence. And it is in those very moments of utter dependency, when you realize your complete reliance on Him, that true, unshakable faith is born and deeply rooted. Not just a mental belief, not a fleeting assent to truth, but a deep cellular trust that even in the darkest night, even in the most profound silence, even in the most excruciating pain, Dios is still in absolute sovereign control, orchestrating all things for your good. Sometimes hardship, though painful, is Dios' sacred classroom, a divine training ground. It is the very place where He teaches us to truly listen for His still small voice, His quiet whisper amidst the chaos. It is where He mercifully removes the deafening clutter of the world, the endless distractions of noise and demands, the unhealthy dependence on people or circumstances, and teaches us to walk by His voice alone, guided by His Spirit. It is in the furnace of affliction, the intense heat of trial, that our casual, superficial belief is transformed into a fiery, unquenchable faith, a faith forged in the depths of adversity. And though the fire is hot, though the flames are fierce and intimidating, it cannot consume the one who walks under the divine covering of the Most High Dios. Instead, it meticulously burns away all that is unnecessary, all that is impure, all that is of the flesh and not of Him. And what remains, what emerges from the fire, is pure, tested, indestructible, and radiant for His glory. You may not understand today why things happened the way they did, why your life took this unexpected turn. You may not be able to make sense of why you lost what you did, or why certain people you loved deeply walked away, causing such pain, or why your path has been so long, so arduous, and so incredibly painful. But hear me clearly on this. My beloved, our Dios does not waste anything. Not a single experience, not a single tear is ever without purpose. The betrayal you endured, though deeply wounding, was not pointless. It was woven into a larger narrative. The delay you have suffered, though frustrating and confusing, was not empty or without reason. The pain you have carried, the heavy burden that weighed upon your soul, was not in vain. He is meticulously weaving all of it, the good, the bad, and the seemingly ugly, into a beautiful, intricate tapestry, a masterpiece that will one day cause your heart to cry out with profound understanding and awe. Now I understand. Now I see the wisdom, the divine purpose in what I could not see before. And until that glorious day of full revelation comes, until clarity dawns, hold on tenaciously to the unshakable truth that Dios is not punishing you in this season. He is with absolute certainty preserving you. He is preserving your mind from insanity, protecting it from the lies of the enemy. He is preserving your heart from bitterness, guarding it against resentment. He is preserving your divine purpose from being aborted, ensuring your destiny will be fulfilled. Some chapters in our lives are filled with intense hardship, not as a random act of fate, but because Dios is actively protecting you from stepping into something prematurely, from entering a situation before you are truly ready. I am profoundly convinced that many of the things we pray for with earnest desire, if Dios answered them on our impatient timeline, would actually tragically destroy us or lead us astray. Timing is absolutely everything in the divine economy, and Dios' timing is always eternally perfect. When He finally closes this chapter of hardship, when He brings it to its appointed end, it will not just be a simple escape from your pain, a mere cessation of suffering. It will be a grand, triumphant entrance into your destiny, a doorway to your next level of purpose. Dios does not deliver halfway. He does not heal partially, leaving you still wounded. He does not restore with limitations, giving you back only a portion. When he moves completely, profoundly, leaving no doubt. He shuts doors that no man can ever open again, doors that were never meant for you, and he opens doors that no man, no demon, no circumstance can ever shut, doors divinely appointed for your breakthrough. He will not lead you into a storm without providing an ark of safety, a refuge in his presence. He will not send you into the heat of battle without providing the full armor of Dios, equipping you for victory. And he will not leave you in the waiting room of life forever, stagnating indefinitely. A time is coming, swiftly approaching, when the very place that has caused you the most pain, the deepest anguish, will miraculously become the sacred ground where Dios powerfully displays his glory through your life, a testament to his redemptive power. So strengthen your weary heart, my beloved friend. Wipe the tears from your eyes, for they have served their purpose in this season. Lift your gaze, not to the daunting mountain of your problems, which seems insurmountable, but to the one who created the mountains with a single word, who holds the universe in his hand. He is your unfailing provider. He is your mighty protector. He is your constant sustainer. He is not just the Dios who starts things, who initiates paths. He is the Dios who faithfully, unfailingly finishes them, bringing his purposes to glorious completion. The hardship you are in, the trial you endure, is undeniably coming to an end, not because it has run out of power to torment you, not because its effects have simply waned, but because Dios has declared, with his supreme authority, that it has served its divine sanctifying purpose in your life. And when he closes a chapter, when he brings a season to a close, it is never a timid whisper, a hesitant suggestion. It is a resounding declaration. It is a cosmic shift felt in the very fabric of the spiritual realm. It is a divine verdict that thunders from heaven, echoing through all creation, and says, "No more." Your chapter of hardship, my friend, is about to be followed seamlessly and gloriously by a chapter of his shalom peace. And it will not be the fragile temporary peace that the world desperately offers, a fleeting tranquility that is entirely dependent on ever-changing circumstances, easily shattered by the next challenge. No, my beloved, it will be a profound, unshakable peace that is deeply rooted in the absolute, unshakable knowledge that Dios reigns supreme over all things, that he is in perfect control of every detail. It will be a peace that cannot be stolen by bad news, by unexpected betrayal, by turbulent economic shifts, or by the insidious whispers of fear that seek to paralyze you. That peace, that profound calm for your soul is coming to you. That rest for your weary soul, that divine solace is coming. That new chapter, that fresh beginning is not a distant fantasy, not a mere pipe dream. It is a blood-bought promise secured by the sacrifice of Christ, guaranteed by his divine faithfulness. And the promises of Dios, unlike the empty words of men, are not hollow or fleeting. They are alive. They are active. They carry the full weight of divine authority, the very power of the Creator. And when they are spoken over your life, when his word goes forth, nothing in this created world, no force or power, can stop them from being fully, triumphantly fulfilled. Let this be a wake-up call, a divine alarm to your weary spirit. You are stepping out of the wilderness of wandering. You are coming out of the dark, isolating cave of despair. You are being lifted from the oppressive shadows into the marvelous, radiant light of divine favor and blessing. And when that light shines brightly upon you, when his glory is revealed in and through you, you will not be the same. You will not walk the same way, burdened by past pains. You will not speak the same way, uttering words of doubt, because the hardship, though painful, has refined you, purified you into a vessel of honor, fit for the Master's use, prepared for his purposes. Dios has already meticulously written the next glorious sentence of your life. And it begins not with pain, but with the powerful word redemption. It begins with recovery, a full restoration of what was lost and more. It begins with an overflowing joy that no sorrow, no past pain can ever erase or diminish. And you will look back on this difficult, challenging season, not with bitterness for what it cost you, for the pain it inflicted, but with profound reverence, with deep gratitude for what it taught you, for the strength it forged within you. You will declare with awe, even then when I felt so utterly alone, Dios was intimately with me. Even then when I doubted His plan and questioned His presence, He was unfailingly faithful. So let your faith rise like an eagle, soaring above your circumstances. Let your trust in Him deepen beyond all human understanding. Let your soul lean completely, unreservedly into the comforting, authoritative voice of the One who has carried you this far, through every storm, and has promised irrevocably never to let you go. This, my beloved, is your moment to believe again, to rise in faith, for your breakthrough is at hand.